4 months ago, I took my turbo Ford Escort to its second track day, and things went well. I was starting to dial in the car, and it was feeling much better than its first track day. But unfortunately, the engine let out on me. I suspected just a head gasket, but it turned out to be much worse than that. It's time to tear apart the engine and find out what happened. Looking at my data logs, the engine coolant had gotten to a whopping 309 degrees before its last breath. That's higher temperatures than I've ever seen on an engine. This tells me that this engine will not be salvageable without a rebuild at least. And I only have 4 weeks to find and replace this engine or rebuild it. Because in 4 weeks from filming this, we're signed up for Hyperfest, one of the largest track days of the year that NASA Mid-Atlantic hosts, and it's back at Virginia International Raceway. Now, if you follow us on Instagram, then you'll know that this video was filmed a few months ago, and I apologize that this video has taken so long to get to. We were driving to Alaska and got a little distracted from editing this, but hopefully you all enjoy it. Better late than never. Alright, so I've got the engine apart here, and just looking at the head here first, in there you'll notice valve dropped clean through. The metal kind of actually pulled right out of the head, and then underneath. Obviously, it has seen much better days. I melted the piston. I melted it clean through. I've never actually seen this before on a forged piston, but there it is. It is no longer a piston. Okay, so what actually happened was cylinder number 1 got very hot because it actually leaned out. I was using a fuel pressure regulator that I took off my part shelf, and it still had some dirt in it. I didn't clean it out, which is totally my fault. And some of that dirt made its way into the injector for cylinder number 1, thus leaning out that cylinder, making it hot and melting a forged piston. That piston made its way all the way through my engine, kind of making carnage all along the way, blowing my turbo. And yeah, this engine isn't really rebuildable, so at least not on my schedule or my budget. So we're just gonna buy another engine that's already been built for the sake of time and money. And drop it in, hopefully in time for Hyperfest. I've actually found another engine. It's a fully forged internal SVT Focus Engine, which is awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and see if we can put that in as quickly as possible. Also, I'm gonna put another fuel filter in line after the fuel pressure regulator to make sure that no dirt gets in my fuel injectors this time. And I don't blow up another engine. One can hope. This engine is a well-used, well-oiled SVT Focus Engine. It has all of the forged internals that I need, and it also has the price tag that I needed. But I don't trust it, so I'm gonna look through everything before I put it in the car. But yeah, I'm gonna tear this thing apart and take a look at the engine and see if it's actually healthy or not, see if it was taken care of, and hopefully it was, and hopefully I can just put all brand new gaskets in it and put it all back together and we'll be good to go. There are a lot of downsides to buying a used engine. This one had run in the previous owner's car for about 10,000 miles, so I assume that it's a good engine, but I'm still pretty worried about it. So I disassembled everything to take a good look and put all new gaskets in it, and it's a good thing I did. I'm very glad I took this engine apart because this engine is not good. I'm not going to use this in this car. Cylinder number 1 has got some chips missing out of the piston and also out of the head, and I don't really trust that. Talking to some of my friends, they said that could cause some detonation and stuff, so I don't really trust this engine, so I'm going to go ahead and try to find another one, so we'll have to go from there. So, time to find a new engine. This time, I bit the bullet and bought something that I knew would work. A whole car. The engine in this car is brand new and built by Ford Performance. Well, I bought an SVT Ford Focus. So this has a fully built engine and transmission in it. It's actually in pretty good shape. I'm gonna take the engine and transmission out of this and basically sell the shell separately to somebody who wants a really good clean shell. The shell actually has 67,000 original miles on it, so it is definitely in good shape. And yeah, let's get this thing home. I've invited my friend Jeff back over from Colorado. You might remember him from previous build episodes. I needed the extra help since we only have 6 days left to get this engine in and running. Yesterday we got this engine pulled out of the Focus and got it on the engine stand.
Yeah, the mounting hardware is different between the Focus and the ZX2, so we've got to move all that over.
This engine's a 0-mile engine, but it's just been sitting for a little bit, so I'm just gonna wipe it down. And then hopefully, if the FedEx truck can come on time, overnight shipping, we'll be able to get the gaskets to put this together and get it in the Escort. UPS made it here. FedEx, where you at? All right, this is the water pump, and I've got an AN fitting welded into it thanks to TFE fabrication. As I also got this sandblasted so that it's perfectly clean. It looks brand new. We're gonna take the water pump off and replace that. Then I'm gonna paint this silver just to make sure it looks as perfect as it can be. Here's my engine bay, which is still empty. Need to put something in here. Don't know what, but something that's gonna make me go fast. Jeff, what are you doing over here? What do we got?
Getting the exhaust flange ready for the turbo manifold.
Right on. Took the windage tray off to see how everything looked. How did it look?
It looked brand new, which thankfully that means a guy didn't lie that we bought the engine from.
Yeah, it is brand new. Hopefully. Yeah, everything I've seen so far, I mean, that oil pump looks shiny. Took the water pump off. That's where the water pump's gonna go. Timing belt all look new. Cam gears look new. Yeah, I think we're good. Let's just clean this up, put some gaskets on it, put it in the car.
There's surprisingly a lot of differences between this SVT engine and the ZX2 engine, even though they're both Z-Tech engines. Some things have caused problems, but for the most part, it's just tedious work. Different dipstick location, different alternator bracket, coil pack, water pump, timing belt, all things with simple solutions, but they're consuming a lot of time, and we only have 3 days left until this car needs to be ready for the track.
We're falling behind schedule, so we're getting a little concerned because we wanted to have this engine in the car by now, and it is not. Yeah, we need to get a windage tray on here, an oil pan on here, a valve cover on here, an intake manifold, an exhaust manifold, water pump, timing belt. Okay, so maybe it is a lot.
This isn't just a simple engine swap. There's a lot of customization that has to be made.
So what we were doing was clearing for these bearing caps, right?
Yeah, the main bearing studs.
There's a lot of trial and error, and sometimes this requires ordering new parts. I basically ordered a couple of boxes of parts every day.
Got some stuff. Got some more stuff. This is like one of 5 shipments that we're getting. I have like a ton of gaskets that I ordered. I have like a bunch of stuff on the way. So if you guys don't know, Jeff had a Turbo ZX2. He had this turbo on it, this manifold, that wastegate, all that jazz. How much power did you make, Jeff?
300 wheel horsepower at 11 PSI. Also, that was at 10,000 feet.
Dang. So we are running a Garrett GTX 2863R turbo for this, and this is actually Jeff's old turbo that he had in his Escort. Jeff, why are we running this particular turbo?
All right, this turbo, I spent days going over compressor maps, trying to figure out which one would keep in its peak efficiency for the longest, so that way it doesn't turn into a heater instead of a compressor.
So if it's boosting too little or too much, it gets hot?
Obviously, the larger the turbo is, the more airflow it's going to flow. But if you're outside of that peak point, all it does is just make heat.
So different engines should be paired up with different turbos based off of like how much air comes out of the exhaust?
Correct, how much air comes out of the exhaust and you know, by extent, how much air goes in the intake side.
Gotcha, so how well the engine flows.
Exactly.
Okay, is this like a well-flowing engine?
Actually, yes, it is.
And this is also water-cooled, so we have to run water lines to and from it so it can stay at a lower temperature. My previous one was not water-cooled. And this is a generation 1 of this turbo. Garrett is now on their generation 2, which is a lot more efficient. Obviously that wasn't out when Jeff got this one, I assume. But for right now, we're gonna go to this, which is already a massive improvement over my last turbo. This is gonna spool like, what, 1500 RPM earlier?
I'm thinking at least 1,000, maybe 1,500 RPM earlier.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Still got another shipment coming in tomorrow, but this isn't even the last of the gaskets yet. Okay, got our shipment in for the day. Let's see what we got. Straight from Japan. Came from LA. Pro Sport, water temp gauge.
Where the hell we're gonna put it?
Water pump. Gates, water pump. Aha! Spark plugs, 2 sets, because, you know, reasons. Transmission fluid. Redline MT90. Ooh. Vibrant exhaust dump pipe, since I lost the one at the other track. More vibrant stuff. We got some shrouds for AN lines of different sizes. This is a vibrant gasket.
Turn it around.
This is a vibrant gasket. Oh, wow. A lot of stuff in this one. UJ pipe for the downpipe. AN line. So this is going to be for the water inlets in and out of the turbo. -6 AN is what we're going to be using for that. So I've got some vibrant line for this. Lots of vibrant fittings because I ordered XS because that's what I do. We got more. Just tons of fittings. Okay. So we have today and tomorrow to get this finished and running and road tuned.
In the process of test fitting the ZX2 intake manifold, we found that the ports don't line up and it's going to cause a vacuum leak and potentially a boost leak. So we're going to move over the SVT intake manifold.
It is better, it does flow more, but that's going to set us back a good number of hours to try to figure out how to make that work, just with different vacuum lines, and mainly the intercooler pipe has to be re-welded and positioned differently for the different throttle body. It also has an active runner to go between short and long runners inside the intake manifold itself.
This manifold on the inside has our runner controller. It is basically 2 intake manifolds in one. The manifold will be running in long runner mode at low RPM, which is designed to increase power at low RPM. But when it's a long runner, it is restrictive at high RPM. So it will switch between the long and the short runner mode. And on this manifold, I believe it's 10 or 11 inches long in the long runner mode and like 4.5 in the short. So it's a big difference. The engine even sounds different when it's in that short runner mode.
So it's like VTEC. I have VTEC now.
Since I clearly don't know what I'm doing, I'm gonna leave Jeff to the important stuff. I'm gonna work on getting the engine bay clean and ready to drop in the new engine. I like to keep my engine bay as clean as possible, since that way it'll make it easier to see when I have new leaks. If only I had this cleaning mentality when I installed the fuel pressure regulator last time, I would have saved my engine.
So we are going to be replacing the injectors on this. We're not going to be using the old ones. So our new ones are injector dynamics injectors. I think they're 1000 cc, where these were 650 cc. And them being new in box, so we obviously get a nice warranty with them. We're figuring that the debris that clogged these injectors came from the fact that we forgot to flush the AN lines that we created, and the debris that's in the injectors does look like it's pieces of rubber. As this rail was filled with fuel, draining it also flushed it, so it should be nice and clean, which is more than I can say from my forehead.
We've got the engine pretty much fully dressed, is the term. And it's about ready to go in. I just have to put the clutch and flywheel on and get these AN lines sorted out. We are having a bit of an issue with the turbo drain. We have the wrong angle of the vibrant fittings, aren't the right angle. So that's kind of a problem. I'll next day order some stuff, but I don't know if it'll get here in time. So we're gonna kind of do a jerry-rigged kind of thing to hold us over until then.
So what's left to do with this engine is now to get the coolant lines and the oil line set up so that we can finally get the engine dropped into the car. We're hoping to get that done by this evening.
We sacrificed a lot of sleep to try and get this engine done in time for the race this weekend. And as you can imagine, filming and working on the car at the same time can be quite difficult. We had a lot of roadblocks that we didn't get on camera, but the biggest setback might just be the nail in the coffin for getting this build done in time.
Found that one of the holes for the flywheel is damaged, the thread's damaged, so we had to order in a tap. It's got a really odd thread pitch, so we couldn't find anything local. So until then, we're just gonna mock up the engine in the car, put the transmission on it, get it in the car, make sure that all the plumbing meets up.
We're not gonna get this build done in time for the race, but that's not gonna stop us from getting as far as we can. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not that upset that we didn't get it complete on time, because working in the garage is one of my favorite things to do, and I'm glad that I got to do it with my good friend Jeff.
Well, it is Thursday. Jeff has to leave tomorrow morning. The car's not done.
It's not like we didn't try though.
Yeah.
We had all sorts of weird stuff happen.
Nothing's broken. We didn't mess anything up. It's just we didn't have time to complete it. For the most part, we're pretty close. but not close enough to say we could do it. I wish I could show you that we could do this whole swap in a week, which is how long it's been.
It just frustrates me that it's not for lack of trying. We were working on this almost constantly.
Yeah.
And it was just one stupid little thing after another, and it just snowballed.
Yeah. We sacrificed a lot of sleep. You may watch other channels on YouTube where people do engine swaps in like 3 days and they're good to go and they're rolling and they go to a race or whatever. You watch TV shows where people have like 2 days to complete this crazy swap and whatever. You know, those people have like 6 people working on it and an unlimited budget. I think TV shows and stuff kind of mislead you into thinking that you can do these crazy swaps and builds and stuff in like a couple days if you really put your mind to it. That's just not the case. Unless you want a really hacked up build, it's just not going to work that way. So I think this is a perfect example of that. And to not let yourself down if you don't think you can get your build done in time, because that's reality.
Still kind of frustrating. See something so close to completion and yet out of grasp.
Yeah. When are you coming back?